We are live now. Hey everyone, here is Daniel with another episode of our Ecom Show, and today I'm here with Trevor Lim from Atomatic, and he's from Singapore, so quite far from me now. And today we will discuss operations, hiring, how to build systems for an e-commerce company. And I think this topic is particularly interesting in Q4 because I cannot count the number of stories when the business owner comes to me and they complain that, yeah, we managed to scale, we are great with ads, with SEO, with content, with email, but our we don't have SOPs or our operations just got broken. So that's why we actually can't scale anymore. So that's why I wanted to invite Trevor today, because I think this topic is still underrated in the e-commerce industry. Even if you buy courses, then I think there are countless Facebook ads courses and marketing courses, but not many people talk about operations. So it's time to discuss that. Hey Trevor, how are you today?
Great. Hey Daniel, thanks for inviting me on this call itself today. And yeah, I know, very happy to share with you guys. Everything is good.
Yeah, great. So before we jump into the nitty gritty, please tell us more about your personal story. So have did you always want to be someone who worked with e-commerce companies or probably not? I'm really curious.
Right. So actually not so much honestly. I used to actually come from like a training industry. I used to do a lot of seminars with my partners and stuff. And then we slowly evolved towards like doing software as a service, running marketing agencies as well. And of course, like e-commerce is really something that we haven't really been touching a lot. We have dabbled a little bit, but we are really focused on a lot of like physical businesses. We are a lot of focus onto like software businesses. Yeah, but it was really just one day, it just chanced upon like a few good partners and a few good people in the industry that I really got to get exposed towards e-commerce in general a lot. And then I started realizing there was a really big gap in terms of like operations and systems in the e-commerce space. And the truth is this, like operations and systems are always something that people will always think that it comes naturally, but the truth is, as if you are able to actually dive in deeper towards that, chances are you may be able to scale way faster than you intended it to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think before we start this topic, one thing to clarify that
Right.
operations is not just fulfillment. And when we discussed last time, you also told me this. So I think it's important to clarify. So we are not just talking about fulfillment here. It's about team management, hiring, SOPs, and many others.
Yes.
So let's jump into it. So let's say I have an e-commerce company,
Right.
6 7 figure, and what should be the main areas where I should focus? And that
Right.
I probably even underestimate the importance there.
Sure. So I think when it comes to like operations, a lot of people in the e-commerce space, they think about fulfillment, right? People place an order and then all I just need to make sure is that like the order just gets delivered to my customers or like to the audiences itself. But the truth is that like when it goes way deeper towards that, we are talking about areas such as let's say for example, dropshipping companies. One of the key things that they should be focusing on is product research. They should be looking into searching for more products. If you're talking about like deeper areas of that, for e-commerce brands, it's also about like enhancing I would call it customer experience in general. That is by itself an operational department by itself to constantly work into product management in short. We are also talking most importantly also about customer service also, because the truth is especially when we're talking about e-commerce businesses where if your sales volume is really high, if you are not having a very good systems and a very good group of people that you are able to manage in the customer service scene, chances are you may end up with a lot of refunds. All the hard work that you have done through marketing, trying to hype up so many sales and increasing the sales volume, it's eventually gonna be like brought back down because of like refunds and like bad products, and ultimately coming down to bad reviews and causing
Yeah.
more future sales in the future as well.
It
Yeah, so
feels
these are
like
yes.
it feels like filling the bucket, but there is a big hole or multiple holes in the bucket, right?
Yes,
And
precisely.
yeah,
Right.
so let's talk about customer support. So what are the things there where we should
Mhm.
take care of?
Right. I think very firstly is customer service side of things is of course we talk a lot about like how knowing how to respond to the customers in a very amicable manner, like very relevant manner. Because the truth is a lot of people when they say about, oh, I want to create SOPs, I want to systemize down my customer service department, they tend to come up with like scripts that these people can make use of. Scripts are definitely good, but the truth is, are people just following SOPs alone and not trying to actually like resolve the customer's problem just by like a copy and paste this message and that's it. It's not even something that makes sense. I believe that some of you sometimes, right, when you see some screenshots and some memes online when they're talking about like, hey, I have like a product that is not delivered just yet, then the standard copy and paste script will be like, oh, please send me a proof that you have not received the message. And then that the funny thing that comes out was the photos of him holding air, like putting your hands up there and then like just holding air. This is just something like that just
Wow.
makes more customers pissed off, right? Like that's why the truth is, customer service side of things, you must be, you must train the team members not only to just follow SOPs, but to use it in a very right manner. They have to put in some thoughts to it, make sure they are relevant towards the customers. I think that is the most important aspect in customer service for now.
Yeah,
But of course, yeah,
just yeah,
yeah.
carry on.
Yeah, so of course, like if I were to add on a little bit more into like some other aspects, of course, one of the key things is that like then, in a more advanced level, then how can you turn your customer service team, right, to become salespersons for you as well, salespeople for you? Because the truth is, you can eventually make use of customer service team to make a customer purchase more if the experience is good enough. If they are good at selling people as well, it's eventually helping you to increase more sales. By persuading this person like, hey, how about adding this product, adding on towards your current order itself, because they will complement your experience altogether in your product purchase itself. Yeah, so I think that is also a good aspect to look into it as well.
Yeah, I read the book by Tom Sia,
Right.
Zappos, Delivering Happiness, and he created this shoe company in the US, which is really centered around good customer service. And actually, each new employee has to spend, I think, at least 2 weeks in the customer support
Service.
department.
Yes.
So it's really built around that. And yeah, once I messaged them up on their website and asked about a good pizza place in Dallas in the US, and they helped me. So they are really cool people actually, and
Yeah.
they help you not just with the product and with delivery and all of these things, but literally with everything, and it's a really interesting experience.
Yeah, definitely. Talking about Zappos, I'm a big fan of Tony as well. Rest in peace for him as well. He has passed on. But of course, there is a reason why Zappos is a 1.2 billion buyout from Amazon. At the end of the day, it's worth so much money purely because they are really very focused on the customer service, delivering the best experience and the best culture in the company. That Amazon, Jeff Bezos decided to buy over the entire company, and wanting Zappos to really just the core job is still the same, but it's to also bring in the same culture right into Amazon as well, so that they can bring the same experience in there.
Yeah,
That's
it's
really
not
a
a
good.
wonder that Amazon bought them up in the end. I mean, very similar values and focus that they have. Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
just recently, I talked to a partner of our agency, and what came up is that in Q4 there is a big need for customer support people and new people in the company. But in
Yeah.
Q1, what happens if the workload reduces? You put time into teaching these people and and money and all of the resources, but you cannot give them job in January, February. It happens. So, what's the best solution for that? What's your opinion?
Right. So I think of course one of the key thing is that like then do you want to actually look deeper into the business model? Like I will say a longer term to reach. How can you make sure, especially in dropshipping businesses who are widely known to like let go a lot of team members during Q1 next year? The truth is, then how can you make sure that your dropshipping business is a longer term business? Like it's meant for a longer term that it extends way beyond Q4. Same thing for e-commerce brands as well. So the truth is that like naturally, firstly is maybe you might first foundationally you should look into like whether do you want to hire that many people to begin with. Yes, you need more help, Like, could it be potentially because the problem lies with the team members not being able to be productive enough due to a lack of systems, or is it because due to that there's a lot of other circumstances? Because I think one of the key things that I see a lot of people are they are still continuing to be spreading their team members team to look into like product research during Q4. Whereas like if you're talking about higher level dropshippers or higher level e-com brand owners, they would have already been prepared way before Q4. Like Q2, Q3, they should already be amassing a whole list or a whole mass of like of products, right, that they are able to actually run through all together in Q4. So when that happens, then they can actually shift their focus of these team members, right, to be helping out with the other areas such as customer service, such as like probably managing the fulfillment side of things, or probably managing into other areas of the business itself, because then this way they are using the same team members to actually be working on things that are important. Then of course, then the additional hires that comes from there, naturally when Q1 comes, when things starts to die off a little bit more, then the truth is then you might want to be able to make sure the people that you hire during this period of time, they also have other skill sets, other work that they can potentially do inside the company, so that it still continues to help your company to grow further from there. Yeah, so I think that's I think one of the key things that they have to go with it. Yeah, but foundationally, I mentioned it's really about making sure that firstly they have good systems, having team members that they can easily replicate things from, reducing the time that they spend.
Okay, that's a really good advice. Yeah. And also, I know you have the 4 levels of automation principle or concept. So please share more about these 4 levels. What are these?
Right. So of course, in specifically saying it's just more of like the 4 levels of autonomy. Why would I say autonomy is this? A lot of people will think that like automation and autonomy is technically the same thing. But the truth is there is actually a good difference coming from there. Why do I say that is this? Most business owners, to make things easy or to share with or I'll say gurus, right? To make it easy, they'll always say like, oh, you want to fully automate your business. But what does it really mean to fully automate your business? Because in automation, if I go by the definition itself, automation is only when you are able to automate a specific function inside a business. It means that your entire company is not fully automated yet. They're still requiring, like a certain additional input from manpower, additional input from other circumstances, and more importantly, the truth is when it comes to difference between automation and autonomy, automation is when it's not catered enough for other kinds of scenarios or special cases or cases that are not defined inside this particular set of automation itself. So hence that is why autonomy comes into picture. So what is really autonomy, right? When it comes to the definition of it, is that autonomy is when you're able to function, like your company is basically able to fully function without the need of like, additional input from the business owner themselves, or like, the managerial positions as well. Basically, every single team member are able to move by their own, and they are able to think for themselves to make the right decisions for the company to grow. That is what really makes a company a company. Because if you are doing everything by yourself as a business owner, or like everything is requiring you are the bottleneck of the business where everyone have to come to you to make decisions, right? Then the truth is your business cannot scale. The business can only scale as far as how many decisions you can make a day. So hence it's important to look deeper into these 4 levels of autonomous. I would say 4 levels of autonomy inside the business, so that you're aware at which kind of stage that you're in, and more importantly, from there, how can you move on from one level to the next level to ultimately reach a full state of autonomy where your team members are running from there. So quick brush through of that. 4 levels is this. The first level is what I usually call level 0. It's where you have zero automation, zero autonomy. Zero autonomy is everything is manual. Everyone is doing exactly what they are supposed to do without SOPs, without any technology support as well. Everything is just done manually. Of course, for you to easily move on from there to reach to a level of automation, which is the level 1 of autonomy, is to go, which is to actually take a step, right, to go down to actually start making use of tools and softwares online to automate your business. So that is mainly the thing that needs to be done to reach from level 0 to level 1. Which level 1 is what I call automation. That is actually automation itself. It's actually a one smaller branch of autonomy. So once you're able to go into automation is when you make use of tools, softwares, technology to help you to automate certain parts of the business itself. So from there, right, naturally you want to actually start looking deeper. Okay, then what is the next level? So when it comes down to level two is what we call semi-autonomous level. So semi-autonomous, it means a definition of it. It means that when you are able to actually have both technology and SOPs coming into picture, that your team members are following a set of systems and a set of instructions for them to operate onto the machines or operate on the tools or the softwares or operate on their basic processes itself. So this way, you are at least at the level where your team members are able to function on a very normal circumstances where nothing is going wrong, everything is standardized, there is no special scenario, special cases that happens, and the business is moving by itself. So that is semi-autonomous, which is still good. It's good enough, right? When you think in normal circumstances, business is still moving as per normal, is growing as per normal. But of course, for your business to ultimately grow to a highest level, which is level 3 of autonomy, right, is to move on to fully autonomous mode. So fully autonomous mode, right? How can you actually move towards the area where you so if I go by definition once again, level 3 fully autonomous mode, it means that how can you eventually build a company that runs ultimately by itself, no matter what kind of circumstances happens towards the business. So what I mean by that is this: the truth is sometimes when if everything happens from Q1 to Q3 is normal, right? Q4 happens, all your SOPs, all the systems, all the tools that you have built up so far usually starts to break down a lot because the scale goes way higher and there is a lot of bigger circumstances comes into it. For example, having the 3 times more, 4 times more load of what you usually are handling in the team right now. For example, maybe you are handling more kinds of questions and more kinds of product fault when it comes to serving a product to your customers itself. When it comes to these kind of situations, you want to start asking yourself, can your team members solve these problems that comes along with them, or do they eventually come towards the business owner or come to you, right, to say like, hey, I need your help. I do not know how to resolve this problem itself. Your customer support starts coming in and starts telling you all kinds of problems and start coming to you and tell you that like, hey, I never encountered this before. This is not part of the SOP. How do I resolve it? When that happens, you are still in semi-autonomous. So fully autonomous comes into picture when your team members are able to think for themselves, or they are given guidelines or policies that helps them to actually think further ahead. Like, hey, if a special scenario comes into picture, what kind of am I authorized enough to make the big enough decisions to go and resolve this solution without the need to go to my manager, without the need to go to my boss. So for you to be able to go towards there, one of the key tips or key tricks, right, towards it, right, is to actually apply policies or to set down certain guidelines for your team members to be guided on. That's one of the key things. But in the true essence of it is to ultimately build what I call a strong structure, right, that allows your team member by design to be thinking forever thinking ahead about the work that they do, so that eventually it comes to a point where your team members are constantly trained to actually think about, okay, what have I done right in the business? What have I done, wrongly in this work itself? Is there any challenges that I'm facing right now? What kind of support that I need from my bosses or from my managers, right? That I can actually improve the work process that I have now, so that I give more results to the company itself. So that is what I call true autonomous and a fully autonomous mode. And you eventually just simply need to set down more policies. So super quick example about customer service side of things is to eventually, when I see policies, right, is that, for example, maybe do you want to set down a policy of like $20 to $30 authorization to your team members to say like, hey, right now you have a permission to spend up to $30 to make a customer happy when a situation comes, so that this way the team members starts to become more resourceful. Like, hey, I have a budget of $30. How can I make this customer happy without the need to go to my manager? Anything that requires more than that, then I will have to go to my manager. But that eventually you realize that you take up way lesser time of the manager or the business owners themselves, and eventually your business can thrive way further from there. Correct. So that's what I like to call the 4 levels of autonomy, and to make sure that you want to be able to be very clear that business is really not just about like automation alone. A company requires both technology and thinking manpower. Not just manpower that follows SOPs, but people who are able to think further ahead for the business, and to eventually grow the business from there.
Yeah, probably 2 things that I can see among business owners, and I think it's not good for anyone. So one is they don't dare to do this leap of faith, let's say, and just give the task that day before to new people. They are just afraid, and it's probably a trust issue or
Yeah.
confidence thing, but you don't dare to give it to your new people. But if you never do it, then your business won't grow, then you will stay the bottleneck. So
Yeah.
I think really, everyone should, when you hire people, you should give tasks to them as fast as you can, actually.
Yeah.
That's one thing. The other thing is what I can see, and I'm also in this trap sometimes, that you try to over automate things with software tools, because
Yes.
probably you are analytical, or you just like dealing with these more than with people sometimes. So you just want to automate things and just
Yeah.
get rid
Yeah.
of the task because the software does it. But there is a trap there as well.
Right.
Yeah.
I totally agree on that as well. The truth is this, like, a lot of people when I come to helping my clients and stuff, they always think that like I'm just here to set up automation tools or like softwares for
Yeah.
them to fully automate everything. But the truth is it's not. The truth is that, like you mentioned earlier on, one of the key pitfalls, right? It's really over automating certain stuff. Why that happens is purely because for the fact that when you have too many technology or systems involved that is ultimately achieving all kinds of objectives all around the place, you are unable to actually link them up smoothly together to make sure that they can function properly synchronously, because the truth is if you're unable to synchronize all the softwares together or all the systems up together, right, then you are actually spending more time and causing efficiency to be lost over time, over the
Yeah.
process. Yeah.
Yeah. That being said, let's talk about software.
Mhm.
So, what software tools would you recommend to implement for, let's
Right.
say, seven-figure level? Yeah.
Right. So of course, the very first thing is that if you're not using any project management tools such as like ClickUp or Trello, even as simple as Trello or even like Monday.com, that is one key thing that I'll first recommend for. Why so? Because you want to be able to make sure that you can plot out all your processes in line, and your team members can clearly see that as well. So that every time as a manager, as a business owner yourself, with a big team itself, you are able to see clearly which what team member is doing what, within the business itself. So that is the very first tool that I usually recommend to be put in. Second tool that I want to actually recommend, I would say, of course, it comes down towards, I wouldn't say communication tool because that's, I think, quite standard. Even if you use WhatsApp or you use Slack, it's generally still okay. But second tool is like when it comes towards customer service itself. I'm someone that will highly advocate for one of the particular tools called Gorgeous. So most of you may have heard Gorgeous before itself as a customer service software purely for e-commerce brands itself. Why do I highly recommend that? It's purely this. One is that, like, when you are facing Q4, especially Q4, right? Chances are is that your volumes gets way higher. And if you are depending on humans or manpower, right, to be able to handle the high volume of tickets itself, it's usually gonna be very hard. So it's important that you want to make use of a good customer service tool that can actually help you to automate some of those replies for you. While it can sound a little bit a bit more scripted and stuff like that, but that is also one of the key reasons why I recommend Gorgeous. Why do I say that? It's because Gorgeous makes use of AI and machine learning to be able to craft out or to adjust their messages a little bit more, so that the messages looks a little bit more relevant, or they do not answer that badly towards people. So when you are lack of manpower, naturally at least there's some behind the scenes artificial intelligence that's helping you to respond on that. But the one key reason why I always talk about customer service or Gorgeous as a customer service tool that I recommend is also purely because of sales. What do I mean by that is, earlier I mentioned about, if you are able to train your sales team member or your customer service team member to be sales team members as well, you can actually make use of Gorgeous as a tool, right, to help you to streamline the process better. Because once your team members are able to convince people to purchase more, these people do not have to take additional steps inside Shopify to add on more products towards their order itself. What can be done is Gorgeous directly connects to all the different major Shopify or e-commerce platforms or softwares or tools, right? That they can immediately integrate to a point where all you need to do is just add a button and add the order towards or add the product towards the current customer's order, and just simply purchase directly from there. This makes the purchasing process a lot easier and faster. and it eventually increases sales for the customer service side of things. So that itself, I usually recommend that as well.
So sorry, Trevor,
Yeah.
to interrupt.
Yes.
Can you tell us examples when a customer support person can become a salesperson?
Right.
If
So
somebody never tried it or seen it, like how does it look like?
right. I won't be able to do like kind of like screen share anything at this current point. But of course, a quick example is that like I've seen cases before where a customer service team member let's just say for example a customer comes over and I'm asking about like can I know about like my shipping updates about this particular product, probably it's taking a long time. So one of the key things is that a customer service team member can actually build some rapport with the customer first, like, hey, how are you doing? Is there any particular thing that you're doing right now? Like how have things been for you? That then maybe potentially then telling them like, hey, while we are checking on your product itself, is it okay that we chat a little bit more from there as well? So sometimes it makes it a little bit more personalized. Like for example, especially for brand niche owners, let's say for example, if the brand owner is selling something that is related towards sports, then like basically building rapport can be asking like, hey, are you like someone that loves sports, or are you buying this as a gift for someone else? So as you start building more and more, asking more and more questions, starting to know more about the preferences of the customers itself, you can then start asking like, hey, since that you like this particular thing itself, we do actually have this product that costs you, that's not a lot of money. Would you be interested to find out more about it, and so that I can share more with you? And then if you're interested, I can add on to your current order right now and add in towards the shipping altogether as well, so that you can receive it all together without needing to wait altogether. So when this kind of topic brings up, right, naturally customers, of course, I wouldn't say 100% of the time, but I would say some customers, if they're happy with what you're saying, if this is something they're highly interested in, chances are they'll just say, okay, why not? Like if especially if it's going to come together with in time along together with my current order itself. So when that happens, then naturally you get a sale. So I usually like to like share with like customer service team members to start thinking about customer service as a job, right? To build relationships with people, because the very first step towards turning them into salespeople is to know how to build relationships with people, because that firstly helps with customer service to make them happier. Secondly, naturally you are becoming a friend to them, easier for you to sell anything that you need to in the future as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. That's huge relationship building, and
Yeah.
in every business basically. Yeah, and it really it makes things smooth and you can sell much easier. So
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely, for
Back
sure.
to software. So you mentioned
Mhm.
Gorgeous, or
Yes,
I don't know how to pronounce their name, but I think it's an
Roger and
amazing company.
yeah,
And we are also familiar with them. It integrates with Shopify, Klaviyo, many tools. Really great
right.
company. Any other tools that you would mention?
Yeah, I mean, earlier you mentioned Klaviyo. It's definitely one of the good tools that people are making use of. But of course, if it comes to like other parts of operation side of things where you want to make use of software and tools,
Mhm.
I would say try to keep things simple for now. For especially for 7-figure, 8-figure businesses, the truth is they don't overcomplicate stuff. So keep it with the simplest tools. If you want to build SOPs, of course, there's software platforms such as Process.street or Process.st in short. But of course, for the simpler version, just use Google Docs. That's why I highly recommend. I still work with clients who are doing 8 figures a month as well. They are still using Google Docs. They're still using Google Sheets because the truth is these are easy enough. Unless of course, like once it reaches to a point where maybe the sheer amount of data that you're putting into Google Sheets and Google Docs itself, it's too much that the loading speed is so slow, which we have encountered before, that it takes like a long while to edit anything into Google Sheets. Then naturally make use of other tools like a project management tool as well does work out. For example, we use ClickUp or we use Monday.com to use it as like a product research sheet compared to a Google Sheet itself, because
Okay.
that looks a lot faster. So keep it simple. Everything should be simple.
Yeah, I totally agree. And
Yeah.
as you grow, things should be still simple. Otherwise, you just go crazy by
Yeah,
the amount
definitely.
of data and processes and all of that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's for
yeah.
sure.
My one last question is: so
Mhm.
now we are at the beginning of Q4 here in October, and what would be your maybe a few tips or hacks that people can easily implement in their business to, scale even more and not break their operations?
Right.
How can they be prepared?
I see. Um, so the very first thing is this. The first tip is that you want to make sure that you do as many, if you're a dropshipper, do as many product research as possible as of this stage before Q4 officially starts. Why do I say so? Is that you want to eventually not spend so much time onto like product research during the whole Q4. You know, like when you're busy with like 10, 11, Halloween, Black Friday, everything starts coming in. Chances are you want to spend more time on scaling the ads. You want to spend more time on to like scaling the efforts or like to handle your customer service side of things. So always prepare yourself for that. You know, that's one of the key things. But of course, now it's slightly a little bit late, but still, it's still good to actually at least start speaking to some of your suppliers, or to at least look for some, on the second thing of the side of things is to look for potential logistic partners, 3PL companies, and to work with like, multiple suppliers as well, just in case, in the event that communication breaks down, or like, the product fulfillment is not fast enough, or your orders are a little bit too spread out, you are able to at least have a few backup plans to make sure that products are still able to be sold and at least reached as soon as possible towards the customers itself, so that you reduce your refund rates. So that is the second thing that usually you want to be sure of. Third thing is this. The third thing, naturally, if you have not prepared any system or SOPs or scripts for your customer service side of things, be very prepared for that, because you want to make sure that at the very least automate as much as possible in your customer service team. Because if the less time that you can spend on customer service, or the less work your team members need to work on the customer service side of things, the faster your products can be resolved. Like your tickets can be resolved. And when that happens, refunds naturally drops. Then you won't be able to go for a very high chargeback, which brings you a whole lot of problems after Q4. You have either you have a lot of high refunds, or you are getting a lot of chargebacks to a point that you need to work. You have to deal with your PayPal and Stripe. Like people eventually, right? Then that causes you a whole bunch of things to fix afterwards as well. But of course, one of the key things when it comes to marketing side of things, naturally, if you can prepare more accounts as well. You want to get agency accounts. If you want to get more, verified BMs, do whatever you can to go and find out more about those. Please go ahead and just get more and more accounts on standby to be ready, ultimately for that. But of course, to maximize the skill, naturally look for more marketing channels and more plans that you can have with marketing side of things, so that Q4 is essential. You want to bring more sales, naturally make sure that you have more channels to be ready for. That's one. Secondly, of course, on the operational side of things, because I want to talk more about that, then naturally make sure that all your tools are already verified. Make sure that all your tools are ready to a point that you have already tested them before. You make sure that like everything is smooth. Then these are things that you can be less worried about. Then Q4 can be a lot smoother from there. So that's naturally the very first two things are the most important part. Just make sure product research, all those are already done early in advance. Start hiring people if you need to. If you are projecting yourself, you are already used to it, you are projecting yourself to have higher sales, then start preparing ahead what you need, who you need to have, and what you need to do during Q4. This will really help a lot of things better.
Yeah, and probably hiring in Q3 already, so you have time to teach them.
Correct.
Last year, we are an agency, but same applies here, I think. So
Right.
we started hiring in October, November, and it's really hard to teach them that fast, especially when the other part of the team is super busy. So
Right. That's the thing. And you know that the truth is, we have to be very honest, is that like a lot of times, you don't you want to even when you hire so many people and it takes time for you to train. Q4, when you are so busy, right? Chances are these people keep coming to you for questions and stuff. You may end up, causing a lot of problems together to work together with them. Yeah, so always be earlier in advance. I always tell everyone in Q4, right, that like it's important to at least take your Q2, Q3, at least Q2 to Q3 to start preparing your hires, to start preparing your team, to be ready for Q4. People who are only getting ready for Q4 2 weeks before, it's usually gonna be very, very tough and stressful. I've seen people who are very depressed afterwards. Yeah, spending too much time trying to get ready all this stuff in very short time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you want to have a peaceful holiday season and Christmas, then prepare Q4 in advance.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Trevor, again. I think it was really insightful. If anyone wants to talk to you and find your company, where they should go?
I think they can find me on of course, from my Facebook account itself. You can look for Trevor Lim. You should be able to see my name from there as well. You can follow me on IG as well, Hey Trev. So it's really just very simple, Hey and TREV, just Hey Trev. I do post some of my contents from time to time over there. But of course, over time, we will be able to create more and more channels over time that I can share with you guys more. But at least for the very least, you can go for my Facebook side of things. I should be able to share more stuff on there.
Yeah, amazing. We will also share these links into the description on our website so everyone can find these. And thanks again, everyone who listened to us today. And thanks, Trevor, for being here.
No problem. Happy to share. Happy to speak to the audience as well. Thank you. Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah.